Hello, my name's Noah, and I'm joined by Fahad and Isaac, and we will be discussing the basics of research. What is research, and why do we do it? Research is the investigation of a question that's been itching at your brain. The primary goal of research is to discover, interpret, and to develop new data and information in the quest for higher knowledge. Research intends to foster systematic ways of uncovering information to bring about the best possible results for courses of study. It's also really fun. As writers, you're in conversation with a ton of media outlets, other writers, your peers, and your community at large. Because of that, there are a lot of people and organizations out there that seek to shape your opinion of the world. It's your responsibility as a writer to understand these outside influences and form your own conclusions about them first. That is, essentially, what the rhetorical analysis assignment and all future assignments in English 120 are about. So what do you do to start? Research usually starts with wanting to solve a problem. There's a question that needs to be answered. Your first step should be finding the question that you want to answer. If you have multiple ideas of what to research, you should create a list of potential topics. Choose a few topics from there to examine. Why should we start? You start by finding as much relevant information as you can about the topic you are researching. This can have you starting in a library, scouring through rows of books, or you could be online, utilizing the many databases that exist. Cut the list down by exploring the potential that each topic has. Choose the sources that you find the most interesting. Next, Fahad will be discussing where we look for research.
For starting research, we need to find sources and materials. There are a couple of places that we can definitely look for our sources and materials. First, we can start with one-line database like Gesture, Project Muse, EBSCO, and NDSU libraries. Libraries are actually buildings filled with books, and it's the perfect place to get information about any topic. Plus, librarians are magical creatures, and they are always up for providing help and support to the students. Next, we can look for our sources and materials in the websites. News websites like the New York Times, Wall Street Journal, and the Washington Post can have some credible information. You will want to vet these sources a bit more astutely though. They can contain biases at times. Then we can also look at the social media platform. Depending on the type of research you're using, you can find some really good materials to work with on Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, and Instagram, but vet them carefully. What are the good sources? The caution, there is no solid definition of a good source, but generally a credible source is open and transparent with the sources it used, and you will have to ask yourself whether your source have a reference page. Does it have hyperlinks to other sources? If not, that's a cause for concern. Has verifiable claims. If your source has seemingly outlandish ideas but little evidence to back them up, it's probably not trustworthy. And doesn't have other motives, as in the information it's giving you doesn't directly or indirectly benefit a person or organization. Like a scientific study that praises a drug sold by one and only one pharmaceutical company, good sources have good ethics. The next part will be explained by Isaac.
Hi, thank you, Fahad, and hi, everyone. So here's a question you want to ask yourself. What do I do if I get stuck? And here's a checklist that can help with that. So the first thing you can do is just breathe and take a few deep breaths. The second thing is realize that sometimes things don't really work out in research, and that's perfectly okay. The joys of research is that you'll never get to a true endpoint in your topic. So what I would suggest you do is find where your last trail ended and look for where a new one begins. All topics tend to bleed together somehow, some way, so just figure out where your line of research concluded in a sorts, and then find where that new topic or new idea begins, and then you should find some more sources to work with. So if you have any need for help though, we're more than willing to help you as your instructors. And so some general good practices when you do begin researching for your larger assignments. When you do find a source, cite it immediately and don't wait till the end to make a frantic works cited page, as is often the case. Those works cited pages that you made the night before it's due will be riddled with errors, so please don't do that. And also verify the claims that your sources did make. If something does seem off, it probably is, so please discard the source. And also be willing to consider opposing viewpoints as well. Sometimes when we consider ideas that are completely different from our own, we learn something and we can reformulate our own theses and make our research that much better. And obviously, don't rush the assignments. These things will take time, and it's in your best interest to not start the bag before it's due. Please don't do that. But most importantly, never, ever, and never give up. The fruits of your labor are well worth the time. And so we have to ask ourselves, so what? What's the point of research? While sometimes we won't get to the big pressing questions like, what is the purpose of life? Although sometimes we do ask ourselves those questions as research. Sometimes the benefit of doing research is just finding out the ordinary and the mundane. Like it or not though, everything we do in research is to help the human cause. And so thank you so much for your time, and thank you so much for listening to our video. We are your instructors and we're always here to help. Thank you.